Hello out there in the crypto world. Today, let's talk a little bit about, in basics, what is blockchain? We know that with the metaverse coming up, you're going to have digital, you're going to have crypto based on blockchain. Why is blockchain so private? And is crypto actually something that's, well, you hear a lot of governments say, well, there's a lot of money laundering and, some things that are kind of shady that goes on in the crypto world. A lot of people have a bad image of crypto. So I want to talk a little bit about what blockchain is and answer that question if crypto actually supports corruption or doesn't. DeFi IoT Latin America, let's talk about it. Before we begin, I need to make a disclaimer. Here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we are not professional financial advisors, or are we paid by any company to promote certain products. We here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we invest our own money. We take our own risks. We learn, we make mistakes, and we share what we learn, our successes and our mistakes with you. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, hit the bell, give us a thumbs up, and write to us what more you'd like to learn. Let's go in now and see what else we can share with you. So the first thing I think we need to understand is market capitalization. In other words, how much money exists in the crypto market and how much money exists in the actual fiat world. Fiat world means all monetary, paper money, right? Coins and money of that nature. You have basically in the fiat world of money in circulation today, you have more than $40 trillion. And we're going to talk a little about what $1 trillion is so you get a good idea. $40 trillion. Now, there's more money than that locked up in savings accounts and locked up in investments and so forth. We're talking about the money that circulates on an everyday basis. In cryptocurrency, how much money circulates on an everyday basis? Well, we're not quite yet at $3 trillion. So you can say, well, the crypto market then really is much smaller than the actual fiat money market, or the money market, we'll say, the global money market. Well, you're absolutely right, but the global money market has many, many years of establishment, right? That banking and financial institutions have been around for many years. Crypto's only been around, really, if we talk about it, since 2009. Okay. Just give you an idea, though, how much money is $1 trillion? I heard it explained the other day, and I like this explanation, and I think it's pretty accurate. I haven't done all the math on it yet, but the explanation was like this, and this will give a good idea. If you had the opportunity to spend $1 every second, it would take you 33,000 years to spend $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. So when we see like the government approving these infrastructure bills and so forth that are multi-trillion dollars, that's got to come from someplace. And normally that's just created out of thin air. That's not already in circulation. That's created. And that devalues a dollar. Where does that all take place at? That takes place normally within, like in the United States, the Federal Reserve or a type of banking institutions, right? They create this. Why do we not know where it comes from? Why do we not know really where it goes afterwards? Because the banking institutions have what they call ledgers, and they keep track of what all the money is, but all that's held secret under the table between them. We, as a public, don't have access to that. Even in your own bank account, if you want to go and get information, it is not that easy to get that information. I've had money lost in wire transfers, being that I live overseas or out of the country, and I go into the bank, and the bank won't give me certain information. They can only tell me certain things about my money. I've had money that never came back to me. I've had my accounts closed. They've said because of we want you to actually legitimize where your funds come from. Now, those accounts have been open, some of those for 10 years. Legitimate businesses, they just changed management, changed policies, the government, and I never got that money back out. I cannot access that. Let's go into blockchain. First thing I want to talk about, though, before I go to blockchain, is how much money actually are the governments claiming is used for illicit activities, those fraudulent activities. Let's say we're going to go, the big idea like the fat F and so forth coming down with all this cryptocurrency regulation is to protect us from terrorism and protect us from money laundering. However, 4% of all fiat currencies in the world is used for money laundering or to support terrorism. Whereas you have 1% of all cryptocurrency that's used for anything that's illicit. They don't really know, but they suspect that 1% of cryptocurrency is used for illicit transactions and 4% of global currencies. Now you think, well, that's a 3% difference. It's getting there. It can get there. Hold on. Wait a minute. Remember how much I said $1 trillion was? Remember something. 4% of $40 trillion in circulation. And much, much more than that. Hundreds of trillions of dollars. If you count savings accounts and investments, where money laundering also and terrorists also park their money. If you look at that 4% adds up into the trillions of dollars. Whereas if you take 1% of $3 trillion, it's a lot less money that's used in cryptocurrency than what's used in fiat or the banking institution, what they control. Let me give you an idea now of blockchain. Remember I talked about the banks, everything's done privately? So if governments, government officials, or bankers want to be corrupt, they can be. And I told you guys a story before of my experience living down here in Latin America, where I went to get a loan, a private loan, because in 2008, the bank shut us off, just discriminated anybody who was not actual citizen of that country that we were in, though we were legal residents and had a lot of money invested in that country. Our funding was shut off for our projects. It really caused a lot of heartache and a lot of problems. So I tried to get private money. Not once, but twice did I go to seek private lenders. A lot of my competition was doing the same thing. My attorneys organized everything. I went to it. I was told this money would come to me and I could have it one way or another. One point, I was pre-approved for $70 million. I questioned that. How am I pre-approved $70 million the first time you've actually spoken to me? My attorneys dealt with everything. At that point, I was just talking to the person to finalize this loan. And then I was asked, how do I want it? Do I want it in cash or do I want it deposited in my bank account? At that point, I went, whoa, time out. And I asked, out of curiosity, I said, well, obviously I wouldn't want it in cash. I'd want it in my bank account. I said, so can you put it in my bank account? He said, yes, that's not a problem. So let me ask you another question. Is this money clean money or are you laundering money? He said to me, he told me, identify where he was from. Automatically, I knew right then he was laundering money. So I asked him the next question. I said, and I don't want to identify the country right now because I know some good people from that country. And I don't want people to think that everybody from that country is that way. It's a country here in South America that we can pretty much understand where it comes from. So I asked the question, well, how is it the banks can give me the money? He said, the banks work with us. You want a Panamanian bank? You want a bank in the country we're talking about? Or you want it to come to another country? We work with the banks. The heads of the banks and government work with us. You just have to pay them 2% of the $70 million, and they'll deposit in your bank account as clean money. That happened not once, but twice. Obviously, I didn't accept that, and I had to end up close the company, which caused me a lot of problems, a whole other story. But I wanted to do the things were right. My point is this, what I learned in that experience and other experiences since, because at that point, having moved that kind of money, I was able to be around government officials, and I saw the corruption that exists. They're laundering money. The bank system launders money, and that's a fact. And how they do it? Because you and I can't oversee it. We can't see it. And that's what cryptocurrency, one of the reasons was created. So let me explain something really quick here to summarize this. Why is blockchain, where cryptocurrency come from, they support that algorithm, that idea of a business or solution, and the cryptocurrency support, just like almost like buying a share in a stock or something of that nature, done a little bit differently. You buy that cryptocurrency, and why is blockchain so much different and much more difficult to launder money or for terrorists to move money? One, because when you get money out of the system of cryptocurrency, you got to take it out through a bank. So if you're a terrorist or you're a money launderer, they're going to be able to identify and ask you, where'd that come from? I know, because they've already done with us. And they come back and say, well, how did it get into the system in the first place? Show us. So they identify that. As soon as it goes in through a bank, they want to know where it comes from. As soon as it comes out of a bank, they want to know where it comes from. Well, your cryptocurrency is in the system. That's yours, and that's private, and you can hold that as yours. Banks don't control that. And you can see every transaction. Let me show you how. Blockchain, what is it? The banks have ledgers that we talked about. You go in from like noon to one day to noon another day. They close at 5 or 6 o'clock, whatever they close at, and they write down all transactions take place, and then they transfer it all on their computers. There's nothing we can see on that. That's all private. It's called digital currency. Blockchain does ledgers as well. Let's take Bitcoin, for example. All cryptocurrencies have ledgers, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And those ledgers also record every transaction is done, but much faster. Bitcoin does it every 10 minutes, towards you have Ethereum and Cardano, and the rest of them are done within much shorter period of time, minutes, even seconds, right? So the transactions take much faster, the actual ledger is smaller, and so forth. Now, let's just take Bitcoin. Transactions every 10 minutes, okay? So all the ledgers that come through, all the movement in the world, and those $3 trillion that come through, everything is recorded on a ledger called a block. And there's more to the details of how this block is supported by the miners and so forth, what's necessary, because they keep this legitimate. Well, this block is transparent. Anybody can access this block. Now, the person who puts some money in, the person takes some money out, they are private. Yes, they are private. But eventually you could follow them. They got to take that money out through a bank somewhere, then you'll know exactly who they are. So they could identify them. The government right now can identify. They're going saying it's secret and private, but actually they can just follow where that money comes out at. And once they take it out and through a bank system, then they know exactly who that person is, and they can follow that wallet and that money, and they know exactly when the rest of it's moved. So they have access to this. So it's a lie when they say they don't. They need more regulation so they can make it more transparent. Blockchain is more transparent than a current financial system. So you have one block, 10 minutes. You have another block that comes on, maybe it's a little smaller, in 10 minutes. You have another block that comes on in 10 minutes. Now I'm using my children's blocks here to show this, but this is a block, right? You have another block comes on, maybe it's a little bigger every 10 minutes. Its transaction, it moves. You have more blocks built. Every 10 minutes, blocks are built. And as you can see now, these blocks are built and they're sent. Transactions are made and they're sent. Here's the thing about this. These blocks remain on the blockchain because they continue to group together, and they'll continue to group and group and group and group and group and group and group till it's one long chain of blocks, thus blockchain. But every one of them can show you exactly, here you show the colors, what's inside of them. They're transparent. So you can see what movement, what's inside of them. If government wants to follow this, they can. And many government officials have already, for example, when there have been hacks and so forth, there's hacks in the banking system as well as right now in certain platforms that are centralized, much less than decentralized, right? Where the government puts the rules. It's funny how those platforms seem to get hacked. Now, in blockchain, everything is transparent and it's always there. You go to a bank and you try to trace something, first of all, you're going to have a judge order that tracing or some sort of authority order that tracing. So you and I can't go make sure that's legitimate. We have to confide in already a corrupt system. They also just can't go in and check it. But the feds in the United States have gone in and found other feds that have actually taken cryptocurrencies, stole them when they took them from people. They actually stole them, used them, and their own people were able to show the corruption between these federal officers when they took it out of the bank. And that's what I'm talking about. In blockchain, everything's recorded, everything maintains. It's very difficult to launder money, and it's very difficult to hide terrorism funding in blockchain. So that is just not true, what we're being fed by the banking systems and government officials. Blockchain is more secure and allows you and I to have transparency over it. We as a community, a republic in the world, we determined if these things are legitimate or not legitimate. And if they're illegitimate, it's very easy to track them down and put those people behind bars where they belong. Whereas in the banking system, it's not. And it's held outside of our eyesight. This is why we here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we support blockchain. We support cryptocurrencies. It not only allows for many more poor people to get involved, it allows transparency and allows involvement on a more democratic system than what the current banking systems and governments now offer us. That is, in short, blockchain. So the answer to the question, more corruption takes place every day in the fiat currencies through banking systems and through our current financial systems than takes place on a volume level and on a percentage level in cryptocurrencies. It's much more difficult. So where is it safer? In cryptocurrencies. Why do the governments not like it? Because it exposes just that. It exposes corruption, and they cannot be corrupt in cryptocurrencies. They need the financial institutions to do that. DeFi IoT Latin America, we hope you liked our video today. Hit the like button, subscribe. We got to get like 50 more people before the next end of this week. Help us, please. Thumbs up. We'll see you tomorrow. And we hope it's helped out some. See you tomorrow.